Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into three really unsettling stories that all kick off in a place you'd think is totally safe: the gym. These stories are a stark reminder of just how fast the familiar can turn absolutely terrifying. So, let's just start with a question for you. Think about the most predictable parts of your day. Maybe it's your commute, your favorite coffee shop, or, yeah, your gym. These are the spots where we let our guard down, right? But what happens when that feeling of security is just completely wrong? We're going to break down three true accounts where the gym, a place of routine and sweat, became the stage for some serious escalating horror. Every story is unique, but they all have this one thing in common: boundaries getting crossed and that little voice in your head screaming that something is just not right. Okay, so our first case starts with a guy named Nolan. He's a total gym regular, and he meets this other lifter who he calls Josh. This is like a textbook example of how a simple gym buddy friendship can take a really, really dark turn. I mean, just look at how fast this all happened. It starts out totally normal, right? Just gym talk, spotting each other, swapping Instagrams. But then look at points two and three. Suddenly, Josh's behavior outside the gym is awkward, aggressive. It goes from a simple follow online to him physically stalking Nolan, ending up right outside his house. It's just a terrifying step by step breakdown of boundaries. And this, right here, this is the biggest red flag of them all: the total disconnect. In the gym, Josh was this serious, controlled guy. But get him out in public, the mask just dropped. No one said it was like he had no volume knob, doing these creepy voices, telling jokes that just made everyone uncomfortable. A personality switch that drastic, that's a huge warning sign. So, after hearing whispers outside his window, Nolan messages Josh asking, are you here? The reply he got back was this: just one word, a single, chilling word. It wasn't a denial, it was a confirmation, and it felt like a total threat. And this is where it really crosses the line. The behavior went from just being annoying online to direct, physical intimidation. The whispers turned into a shadow he could actually see outside his window. And when Nolan finally blocked him, the aggression became real, with a slashed tire. It got so bad that Nolan had to completely change his entire life. New gym, new schedule, security cameras, the whole nine yards. All right, let's move on to our next story, and you'll see how these things can build. This one's about a 22-year-old named Louis who got caught in the middle of his friend's super toxic breakup. He literally became collateral damage. So the backstory here is everything. Louis' buddy, Colton, had just broken things off with his 17-year-old ex, Addie. The relationship was a total mess, only 4 months long, but full of fighting and drama. Well, she did not take the breakup well, and pretty soon, all that anger found a new person to focus on: Louis. So when Addie showed up at the gym, it wasn't just a coincidence. It was a performance designed to be intimidating. First, she just stands there, staring at them. Then she goes into the locker room and they can hear these weird crying and whispering sounds. Then she comes out and just hovers, not working out, just looming. Her whole presence was a threat without her saying a single word. Later that night, that feeling of unease we had, it was confirmed. He gets this text from a number he doesn't know. The message basically blames him for the breakup, and then it ends with this: a direct threat. He knew instantly it was from Addie. I mean, the harassment was already bad. She was banging on his door, laughing outside his house. But this is the moment it went from scary to straight up life-threatening. She sent him a picture of a knife in her hand. She was showing him, "I have a weapon, and I am right outside your house." Okay, our final case. It's a different kind of horror. This one wasn't built on loud threats or crazy behavior. It was built on silence, on being watched. It's that deeply unsettling feeling that you're being hunted. So our narrator here is a 25-year-old woman, and she starts to notice this new guy at her LA Fitness. And he was always there. Pretty much every time she went for a workout, he was there too. At first, he's just another face in the crowd. And this was the first huge red flag, the thing that made him stand out. He'd sit on a piece of equipment like the chest press or a pull-down machine, but he never actually did a rep. The weight stack never moved. It became clear he wasn't there to exercise. No, his only activity was to sit there and stare at her. And every time she'd catch his eye, he'd quickly look away. But the pattern was undeniable. He wasn't there to work out. He was there to watch her. And this is where things get truly terrifying, because the threat moves outside the walls of the gym. It goes from him just watching her to actively pursuing her. He finds her at a bar, he follows her on a nature trail, and then he chases her, breaking into a full sprint until luckily someone else appeared. That feeling of safety completely gone. So, what do we take away from all this? From these three completely different but chillingly connected experiences? Well, each one is its own little case study in predatory behavior and in why you have to trust your gut. This table breaks it down so perfectly. You've got the friend, where the warning sign was that constant pushing of boundaries. You've got the ex, where the danger was just being near someone else's unstable behavior. And then the watcher, which was all about that primal feeling of being hunted. But the lesson from all of them is the same. You have to recognize the signs, and you have to trust your gut. And this final piece of advice comes from Nolan, the guy from our very first story. And it's so powerful because it highlights just how incredibly hard it is to get someone out of your life once they decided to fixate on you, even if it all started with something as casual as a conversation at the gym. In the end, all three of these terrifying stories really just boil down to this one critical question. Every single one of these people felt that deep gut instinct that something was off long before things got really bad. Their experiences are a huge reminder that our gut feeling is maybe the most important defense we have. So often we dismiss it, don't we? We tell ourselves we're just overreacting, we don't want to be rude, but these stories force us to ask, when your gut tells you something is seriously wrong, are you going to